Greetings and salutations, loyal viewers of this channel. My name is Sean, and today we're going to talk about the feds investigating and actually raiding NYPD and top New York City Hall officials in what appears to be a separate, yet another corruption investigation into Eric Adams' administration. Now, I actually told you way back when we were talking about the Democratic primary for mayoral candidates, that Eric Adams was definitely, in terms of policy, the least bad option among the Democrats, because he was at least talking about law and order, about police enforcement, while all these other candidates were saying that they were going to defund the police and basically were pushing policies that will 100% made crime significantly worse. But I also gave the caveat that Mayor Eric Adams was the Brooklyn borough president, and anytime you hold one of these meaningless positions in the city of New York, that is rife for corruption. So since he's been in office, we have instances where he's had devices that were seized from him. There's this investigation into illegal campaign contributions and influence peddling when it comes to the nation of Turkey, and a bunch of different officials have gone down over time. But today's video is about a completely separate potential corruption investigation, and this of course involves the former police commissioner, because he just resigned, Edward Caban, and his twin brother. Now, we're going to get into this. I'm going to break this down for you, but before I do, I want to thank everybody who supports this channel via actualjusticewarrior.com/join.
Give me the money. Give me the money. Okay.
So to say that the temperature in New York City has been turned up to 150 would not be an exaggeration. In fact, the New York Post is reporting an exclusive story that top NYPD officials are no longer meeting in one police plaza for fear of FBI surveillance, and were actually caught meeting again, and these are the top NYPD officials, in a parking lot where they believed they would not be subject to surveillance, because they think that the FBI raiding their commissioner and other top NYPD officials is a sign that the feds are telling them that they can get them anywhere. And spoiler alert, the feds can get them anywhere, and this top leadership meeting is definitely not going to work out the way that they wanted it to work out, because somebody among that leadership group is working with the feds. That's just how it is. Trust me. But at the center of this is the former commissioner, Edward Caban, and his twin brother.
Federal corruption investigation into City Hall and the NYPD and now includes allegations of a shakedown. A Brooklyn bar owner says he was told that his problems with the NYPD would go away if he paid the police commissioner's brother. And he says it was a worker in the mayor's office who tried to help arrange that deal.
Now, the local news is talking about a potential pay-to-play scheme that involves Caban's twin brother and nightclubs and bars in the city of New York, where essentially the NYPD busts your balls if you're a bar owner or a nightclub owner up until the point that you decide to seek out help. But what is required for you to get the NYPD off your back is a little bit of money being paid to Edward Caban's brother as a form of a protection racket.
I felt like it was like I got an ultimatum, like it's either you get with this or you're gonna get shut down. We're gonna make sure you get shut down.
Shamel Kelly says it was this man, mayoral staffer Ray Martin, who first told him he could pay the police commissioner's brother to help get better treatment from the NYPD.
So this guy right here is a bar owner in Brooklyn. And in fact, he opened up a new startup small business, so good on him, because everything in New York City has told me that they are for the black entrepreneur, the black business owner. And considering the crisis that we're having with abandoned retail space, it would seem like it would be absolutely disgusting for the city of New York with their black mayor through a black staffer, that Ray Martin guy, to tell him that he needs to pay money to a protection racket being run by the brother of the police commissioner in order to prevent his bar from being shut down. And of course, we're talking about James Caban in this particular scenario, who is the brother of Edward Caban, the police commissioner. So on its surface, I just have to say, this is absolutely horrible. Now, this is all alleged at this moment in time. I don't want to go too into saying that this guy's 100% guilty or not until we see further evidence, but let's hear this guy's story and you tell me if you believe him.
He just said that he was assistant of Eric Adams and he know people, and he dropped the Mr. Eddie Caban name because he's I guess the NYPD commissioner, and I was having problems with the NYPD.
Later, Kelly says the police commissioner's brother James told him he could help with his NYPD problems if he paid him $2,500 up front.
Now look, if true, this appears to be a protection racket, but one of the things that I will say in James Caban's defense is that Democratic Party officials never, and I mean absolutely ever, have family members trying to use the name of the person in power and use the potential of favors from the person in power to ever get money in any kind of shady situation. That is exactly what we learned from the Hunter Biden situation. There was no way, shape, or form that he didn't get that job at any of those places because of Joe Biden's name and political position, and the suggestion otherwise is absolutely disgusting in every possible way. So, while he might have been promising to be able to do this, we don't have any evidence at all whatsoever that he was actually working with Edward Caban in order to implement this. I mean, maybe we do have evidence of that. There's a reason why it wasn't just James, the former NYPD officer, who I believe was kicked off the force in 2001, that was raided by the FBI, but there's a reason Edward was raided, and there's a reason why he ended up resigning. But as of right now, I am disgusted by the suggestion because the Democrats are as pure as the driven snow.
The state liquor authority says Kelly's bar was not facing any charges of wrongdoing.
So real quick, I just want to point out that the fact that he had no issue at all whatsoever with the New York City Liquor Authority is a good sign for him, because you need about 47,000 different permits in order to operate a business in the city of New York, and if you're not in violation of those permits, that puts you in good standing with our very anti-business regulatory environment, and it shouldn't be that big of an issue. However, there were noise complaints that were called into 311, which is the non-emergency line, and it appeared, according to this bar owner, that he was having issues with the police showing up in force time and time again, and that's what made him seek out the help in the first place.
But there were dozens of noise complaints to 311 about loud music. Kelly says he felt too many cops from the 6-0 precinct kept showing up, hurting his relatively new business, the Juice and More Bar, along Mermaid Avenue. And he says his pleas for help from the NYPD and local community board were unsuccessful.
Now, I just want to point out a couple of things. First and foremost, I do not like the idea of blurring police officers' faces while they're in public. I don't understand that. I would like to see what is going on, and I'd also like to hear the conversation that's happening, because our bar owner looks particularly animated right here, and if we are being fair to the Caban family, we could have a situation where he was actually somebody who was playing loud music constantly, was belligerent with the cops, and he ended up earning his bad reputation with them just like that. But what we're seeing right now, or what we appear to be seeing, is that if you did pay the money, if you did pay the extortion fee to the commissioner's brother, you would have the NYPD pulled off of you for all these different infractions that your business might be going through. And the fact of the matter is, that is not a good thing. That is not acceptable behavior. And yes, if the commissioner was involved in any way, shape, or form, he should definitely be indicted. But even this guy using his brother's name is a significant problem. And considering in order to become a police officer, they run a significant background check on you, or at least they did before the Black Lives Matter riots drove down recruitment, and they go to your associates that may be criminals in order to figure some stuff out about you. The fact that they don't do that for the police commissioner's brother, to me, is a big problem.
Kelly said he never expected that Ray Martin from the mayor's office would give him this advice.
He went on about how he thinks that I should just close the bar, and if I don't close the bar, there's only one way to get the police to stop doing what they're doing, and that's to speak to one of his friends, which was the James Caban guy.
So real quick, the first part of that answer may be the most New York City politics answer that you can get, which is, hey, you know what you should do? Just close your business. Because while on the surface, the Democratic Party is all about the black business owner and supporting small businesses, the fact of the matter is everything they do in terms of policy is anti-business, because fundamentally there's an anti-capitalism streak within the party that is reflected even in their moderates and their moderate administration, because Eric Adams often portrays himself as such, but you see that idea right there, and the idea that of course he's going to say close it, like his livelihood isn't on the line and that's the only solution. Or you can give the commissioner's brother the money.
Give me the money. Give me the money. okay?
James Caban, an ex-cop, is the twin brother of NYPD Commissioner Eddie Caban.
To me, is absolutely horrible because you think about all the things that go into opening up a small business, the risk and all that, and you realize that a bunch of business owners are basically probably paying this extortion money, if true, and there's other ones that aren't paying that did get shut down due to constant raids by the NYPD, which again is absolutely horrendous. Now, I know a lot of people are going to say that all the individual cops involved should end up having problems and whatnot, but the fact of the matter is most of these grunt police officers that are being sent to these various sites have no idea why they're being deployed there. They're just being told to go after them, and probably Caban might have some connection beyond his brother with different people in the various departments, and he might be using his leverage of being the commissioner's brother on them.
Kelly showed us phone records and text messages from August 2023, where Martin from the mayor's office allegedly encouraged Kelly to contact James Caban. Hey, Shamel, reminder to call James. Kelly says these phone records and texts show he and the commissioner's brother discussed the issues surrounding his business, a business which was a juice bar by day and licensed to serve alcohol on weekend nights.
So 2 things that I find to be incredibly crucial about what we just learned. First and foremost, these people, Ray Martin and of course James Caban, are communicating via text message with this individual right here, which gives him the ability to show evidence to corroborate at least portions of his story. And if they were this dumb in this scheme, if it actually existed with other bar owners, and they also have those text messages, then it's not looking very good for Edward Caban or for James Caban, who seems to be doing this extortion and somehow exerting influence with a connection in the mayor's office and possible connections in the NYPD, and of course the major connection, which might be his twin brother, who of course was the police commissioner. And secondly, and this might even be even more crucial than that first part about all the evidence that's related to the case, is that a juice bar by day that serves liquor and operates as a nightclub on the weekends may be the most gentrified Brooklyn-sounding business I've ever heard, and the fact that they cut in to the patrons of said business and they appeared to all be white dudes at this particular location is not surprising at all. If this was also a bookstore, they would have hit the trifecta for gentrification business, and the quadfecta would have been if they also served frozen yogurt. So I just want to point that out, that this is a relatively new business, not a long-standing business in the borough of Brooklyn, that caters to a very hipstery clientele, if I do say so, based on the evidence that's presented to me in this video. Now, you might think that's not very important to the case, but it is, and I do think it should be told to you out there in the audience, because who wants to be bored with just facts and details and not opinion?
James Caban allegedly wrote, spoke to the commanding officer, and the biggest complaint from the community board is that you're registered as a juice bar, and now you're doing parties there. Lots of noise complaints.
If you have a license to serve alcohol, it shouldn't matter. And I also explained to him that the community board knew that it was the summertime, so he knew we were going to do Thursday, Friday, Saturday night events.
Record suggests Kelly and Caban also spoke by phone, and that's when Kelly says James Caban asked him for the initial $2,500.
He said that he will mediate my issues with NYPD. He could bring them to me, have a meeting, resolve our issues, is what he specifically said he could do.
So this right here is the major problem, because it's one thing for this guy to say that he has these connections in the NYPD and try to extort money from this particular business owner, and for the mayoral official to be directing him to this person, because what you could have is somebody in City Hall that's corrupt in tandem with a brother of somebody in a very high and trusted position taking advantage of the family name, but it could be contained to just those individuals. But as soon as he refused to pay the extortion money, as soon as he said he's not going to deal with it, and he said he already talked to the community board and this shouldn't be an issue, all of a sudden, his problems got worse with the NYPD, and this means that there was actually teeth in the Caban enforcement, which also means that we have a much broader corruption investigation that, of course, ends up implicating the commissioner, the brother, because how else would he have this influence?
After he said I had to pay him for it, I felt like it was him trying to extort me. So I just was like, you know what? No, I'm good. I'll just deal with it how I deal with it. And it got worse.
Kelly says the Ray Martin and James Caban connection bothered him.
I assumed that you would be like, oh, okay, yeah, let's call a meeting. Let's figure out what this problem is. I'm not expecting for you to be like, oh, you got to pay me some money if you want this problem to go away. Nah, that doesn't fall with me.
So I respect this man for having principles, and I know this might be surprising to you guys out there in the audience because this appears to be a private call that was not taped. But I do have an exclusive excerpt from this portion of the call so you can get an idea of how the police commissioner's brother sounded when he was talking to him about getting this $2,500. And I'm going to play that for you so you guys can understand the tone and tenor in which this money was demanded.
Give me the money. Give me the money. Okay?
Come on, you all knew I was going in that direction. Relax, it's just comedy, people. Let's move on.
Martin did not return requests for comment. James Caban's attorneys issued this statement. Mr. Caban unequivocally denies any wrongdoing. His work as a consultant and acting as a liaison between the department and a private company is perfectly legal, especially given his previous career as an NYPD officer. Our client has fully cooperated with law enforcement, and once their investigation is complete, it will be clear that these claims are unfounded and lack merit.
So, of course, James Caban's attorney releases a statement saying, hey, look, he's just a consultant. He's just somebody who you pay to consult on your behalf, and that is perfectly legal, especially when you factor in that this guy used to be a police officer. And, of course, I will point out that that was 23 years ago, but this claim gets a little bit sketchy when you realize how he was brought into meeting this consultant, because he talked to somebody in City Hall as a part of the mayor's staff in government about an issue that he was having with the government, and then that person directed him to this private citizen who is the brother again of the police commissioner, and he demanded money for a meeting with NYPD in order to shut down his issues so he didn't have to worry about it. And then after he declined that, all of a sudden, the police raids and the police problems got significantly worse. So again, is he somebody who's just running a legitimate business, or is he somebody who legitimately has influence, is willing to use that to profit himself, and when you don't pay him, is willing to sick the dogs on you?
Kelly is not just making the allegations now. He posted his concerns on social media back in February. But at the time, few noticed.
So they say that this guy was trying to post about this and grab attention back in February of this year, but the fact of the matter is none of his posts ended up getting any attention. And I feel bad because if you're in a situation like this, if you have evidence to prove what you're saying, I want to be a person who's able to highlight that, and if you email me something like this and your sourcing and all that is good, then I will give you a platform in order to fight back against government corruption. Because again, this isn't just pro-police propaganda over here on this channel. We're trying to advocate for actual justice. But what's really heartbreaking about this is the conclusion of this story, because you might have seen that those text messages were from August of 2023, and you might be wondering, well, what happened this summer? And the answer to that question is, he was already out of business by February.
As for Juice and More, Kelly closed it down in February.
I don't think it was just me. I think that that's probably a thing that's going on in New York City specifically, to be honest.
Now look, it is hard out there for a small business owner. It's hard out there for a bar. It's hard out there for a juice bar. And even though his business sounded like the most Brooklyn thing of all time, the fact of the matter is when you're selling expensive drinks and people don't have a lot of money, that is going to create issues. Not to mention the fact that we have crime problems, not to mention the fact that rent is extraordinarily high. So we don't know for sure if that's the reason why his business closed down. But the fact of the matter is, this nonsense probably didn't help. This didn't aid him. And now, yet again, New York City appears to have aided and abetting in the killing of a business, despite the fact that Adams is oh so proud of all the support that they've done for the black businesses. And again, I will point out that they give all this different money in the Adams administration to illegal migrants in order to get them set up, in order to get them established, while leaving these business owners to pay extortion money potentially to the police commissioner's brother, and it's sickening. But you know what? Those are just my thoughts. I want to know what you guys think about this down in the comments below. And if you like this video, show them by leaving a like, subscribe for more content, follow me on my social medias, support me via the support links in the description of this video. This has been me talking about ended up being a tragic story about the city of New York. Till next time.